All right, and I think we are live. Hello everyone. Of course, I was having some technical challenges to get started. I'm getting rusty, to be honest, but we are here, just 3 minutes left, and what I can see is a few already concurrent viewers. Thank you so much for being there, and so nice to see you. Here is Jensen Vars, the host today of your attention and amazing contribution. Let me know please whenever my video stream and audio reaches you, whether you can hear me well. I play some also background music here, Synthwave Radio. I recommend this channel, by the way. Shouldn't bother. I hope to stay in the background, and yes, so happy to see a few of you over there. Oh, there's Maria, even our UX designer. Thank you, Maria, for being here, always lurking from the shadows. CL Kelly, I guess that's Squishy, famous Squishy, and Livia. So happy to see you there. So let's get started, because the idea is that to leave this streaming recorded so others can catch up later with it. I'm happy to get your answers or any comments on the way out of this recording and stream. So please let me know what you think. What are your thoughts? Any questions that you have so far? And let's review the agenda a little bit. The idea today is that we have this cozy space together, and then talk about plot unfolding machine and the companion and your actual plays a little bit, and go through together some of the things that happened so far and catch up with everyone and to be on the same page. And yes, for today's stream, the idea would be to talk about those actual plays contributed as part of the event. The Mother of Origins, the event is essentially a setup game, thanks to CL, our community member and collaborator, and who set up this, how to say, an amazing plot seed set in the 10,000 BC, so in the prehistoric Stone Age era, and set up a plot seed. And out of that, we proposed that everybody with access to PUM Companion, the app, could essentially download this plot seed, this plot skeleton, and start playing from there and branch away in any way possible. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, about what it meant so far for me and for you to play solo RPG. So let's gather some thoughts together, and then we are also going to take a look at some of the newest features coming soon in the app. Yes, so I will catch up here and there with the comments. Oh yes, my guitar. Oh, it's a bit down there, but it's a red Epiphone. Love this guitar, by the way. It's much better than what I can play with it, but it's a nice improvisation tool for me, because I haven't studied music or anything. I just pick it up and play, just as much as we do storytelling. Sometimes we pick it up and get going. So I'm gonna make myself smaller, and we're going to take a look at the event together to catch up with where we started. So making myself smaller here. Thank you, guys. So let me see. Mother of Origins, the setup. It's a nice experiment we're doing together. We are growing up the community from scratch, and I'm impressed by the amount of cool contributions we had and how the app is developing. It's getting very far. And for those who don't know the app, if there's anyone around here that doesn't know even what we're talking about an app to play solo role-playing games using a plot unfolding machine, a set of rules to develop those stories. And this app, what it allows is essentially loading a setup of a game with a bunch of things preloaded with it. This is the setup here with a set of characters and locations, right? And we started with this Old Whispering Soul, which is it is a mysterious figure, right, that sets us up in this game. And this game, set in the late Stone Age, Neolithic period, humanity is in a transitional phase, moving from hunter-gatherers to settled farmers, and various wandering family clans have begun to discover and develop agriculture and animal husbandry using simple stone tools and wearing light clothing made of hide belts. So essentially within this app we give this plot seed or plot setup, so we can all start from here. And this is the thing, an amazing setup by Seal, where there is a pitch. The pitch is essentially as part of the plot scope. Where there is we are part of a settlement or an old clan set in these prehistoric times, and there is a landslide essentially taking care of those who took the risk of betting for the settled life, right? I guess I'm not a historian, to be honest, but I would assume it took many thousands of years to figure out that staying in one place could pay off once we learned some practices and follow some structure, rather than moving to survive. Again, also developing and ourselves as humans into who we are today. At that time, probably there were mammoths and other large, dangerous animals, and we didn't have the tools and technologies we have anywhere later in the timeline. So the whole thing is about like bringing ourselves past in that time and figure out whether we could be part of that choice, right? Of deciding, hey, what if that works and what if it doesn't work? And Seal even set us up in a fictional, I guess, geographical space. We begin in the Bear Clan area, and where this landslide takes place, and we are part of that. We decide who to be there. And this is something I'm gonna highlight again, like the aspect of role-playing games. The aspect of role-playing games is like, okay, we get in that mindset and try it. And this one, I admit, it was hard, because we are used to role-playing in medieval times, I don't know, steampunk and cyberpunk or modern times, like in more closer to us today settings. And in this one, we had to go back to where maybe we as humans were not even that developed, right? So I'm looking forward to review your stories. I've read them and see where they took us to. So there is also a set of characters that we can browse through, that they are inspirations, right? And this is something very interesting, because there were a few players back then when this event started that they found and saw all of this and say, oh wow, this is too much. Like, I have a bunch of characters, bunch of locations. There are the plot unfolding machine plot nodes, which are like element of the potential story we're going to develop that the plot seed wants us to have in mind, right? So game or world elements could be that there are many clans, there's a clash of clans, the man versus nature aspect, the man versus monsters aspect, the aspect of ourselves being social beings. And I don't know if everyone like read them through. I think with the latest version of Plot Unfolding Machine, the descriptions are hidden, which I think I did it on purpose, because I wanted to take away that intimidating feeling of all of this being way too much to start with, right? Because in the end, if we let Plot Unfolding Machine do its work through the random proposals or modified proposals, the plot nodes and characters get invoked, so to say. So we really don't have to read them before we start developing a story, given that we know that the plot beats, so to say, are going to call them. So this is a bit the idea of the pitch, of setting up this pitch in Plot Unfolding Machine. And when we see the locations, yes, we can take a quick look, and at least what I would do, right? Take a quick look to try to figure out in what kind of place we live. But I wouldn't even read the deep descriptions right away before playing. I would let the game surprise me whenever I arrive there. But I could take a quick look about what is there, right? And there's the Bear Clan. This is our starting point. So I would allow myself to maybe dive deep in this one and see, oh, okay, these are the people that maybe I was surrounded with. I could have known already, or maybe I will get to know soon, depending on where and who I want to be in this fiction. And I could read a few things, like Bear Valley is one of the first permanent settlements near a river. And this is the village that was flooded last night by a landslide after heavy rains, which destroyed half of the village. And there are huts that are simply built and consist of mainly wooden beams, bamboo, reeds, as well as some mammoth tusks and furs. So let me know what do you think. It's like how much, how did you start this? Like, did you read the whole thing through? Every one of the, maybe the tabs, every one of the locations. I don't think like someone actually read all of this before playing, but this helps setting up. It's like we need to figure out a starting point, and this is what I personally did or played around. It's like, okay, I'm going to figure out what's the minimum I have to read, and maybe the world elements are important because those are the things that I want to keep in mind to make sure I'm playing at least this setup. We got here from Kelly. I read through the Bear Clan all the way through, then skim through all the rest. Yeah, exactly. So totally there. It's like that common sense aspect of reading what we know we should know, even before knowing anything. I totally agreed with that approach. So the world elements in Plot Unfolding Machine are the things we want the players to be aware of. That, look, this is part of the world you live in, and everyone should have familiarity with this, like with the problem as social beings. Like, these plot elements in the end is where we want to focus. And when we create our own games, we set up here in world elements those things that we want to have here, like incredibly bad weather, pirates are everywhere, things that we want to have stamped in our head. Is what makes the game or world element like the first screen of the game we want to play. And this is my recommendation for Plot Unfolding Machine players, that when you take care of the plot nodes when you're creating a new game or world elements are the things that, you know what, this is part of where I'm living. Kivo says, I've read the full starting area and just got a quick overview on what exists without diving deep. That gave me the opportunity to surprise myself, but also to develop the story in a creative way. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That is the thing. And in a good way, this is a stress test for Plot Unfolding Machine. Yeah, I wouldn't have gone to search for Hidden Sun if I didn't get an overview on who has survived. Yes, that's also tricky, right? So to say, okay, there's a bunch of NPCs, some could be already dead or not, right? And then one of the rules I put in the event is like, please don't pre-remove NPCs. Those NPCs exist at the time you start. And that is the intention of that, is that, I don't know if I got the message right back then, but my idea was, do not try to figure out who is alive after the landslide, right? These NPCs are somewhere out there, alive. That was like the purpose of that point in the event. It's like, so we didn't have to check, okay, which out of these 9 NPCs could be found alive. Of course, as part of the game, you can go and figure out, and I think many of you actually asked when you arrived to encountering them, hey, are they still alive? Or are they heavily injured? I think Plot Unfolding Machine typically says, when you ask if someone is injured, Plot Unfolding Machine is going to say, strong, yes. That's my experience so far. Psiga315 says, it also allows us to keep track of their plot lines, because even though they are dead, they still have some influence of the world. Absolutely amazing point, right? Yeah, exactly. They exist. if we happen to encounter them at some point and figure out that any of those characters are deceased or disappeared, or maybe we even never happened, maybe someone else knew them or they left a legacy or something. It's a nice part of the storytelling, I would say. To take a look at what else we have in the plot nodes, there are the encounters, and the encounters are complicated. If you are setting up your own plot unfolding machine, is this relevant encounters is the thing of forward looking, hey, what is currently dangerous and what can happen to me or to us as a player in our journey. And I admit this is a hard one, and it works better when someone else creates the plot seed for us, like Seal did, right? And he took care of throwing encounters over there. So I admit this plot nodes type is the trickiest one if you're doing it yourself, but if someone else goes and throws some dangers in it and you blind yourself out of those and let the random proposal hit you, then it might surprise you in a good way. That is my suggestion. The thing about it is that in order for that to work, I think we have to use random proposals way more than what I have seen and even what myself have seen so far. Because random proposals, yes, they can be plot beats, but they mustn't be. And they are the ones who bring these plot elements and plot nodes into the game. So in a way, they take the lead. But I know they seem like very interrupting, or they are like telling me what to do next. And I think we can challenge ourselves not to see them that way, right? They could be an added element to our current situation, if you ask me. So if I go right now, I don't know, let me try randomness, right? And throw a random proposal, and the random proposal says, reflect a world or game element. There's a clash of clans. This doesn't mean this has to be the next scene, right? You can add the reflection of this world element in your current scene. And this is something I would like to improve in Plot Unfolding Machine, like to make players be less scared of random proposals. Be less, this tool is telling me what to do. And the more it's like, okay, let's enrich our story with this, because if we abuse them, we were going to get more of that seed and setup that Seal set up for us. If I try another one, it's like I find an answer question. What happened with Hidden Sun? This is a main plot question. Reflect. Okay, there's multiple word elements, right? Dealing with death. Let's try some more. Complication. Yeah, and endure a difficult complication. Someone needs help badly. I actually thought this was a story-driven plot track. There shouldn't be random tables. But anyways, that was my point. I think the more we use them, the more things out of the plot setup should appear here. That was my intention. Kelly says, I'm the person who asked if they are injured. I think an injury, bad or light, will put an effect on the NPC and character interaction and impact the plot going forward. Yes, absolutely. We're going to take a look at the actual plays in a moment. And I think, is someone injured? This is a good question to ask. Like what if not? If they're not, it's also, right, a good thing. It's like, how did you come out alive and unharmed? Like, either you're very lucky, you're very smart, skilled, or you are behind all of this yourself. Savvy Go Solo says, at the end of the day, it can be interpreted as heavily or lightly as you want. Clash of Clans could mean they are here and attacking, or it could mean there are things set in motion to affect as future as scenes. Absolutely. And this is definitely what I meant. And what I meant also by not having random tables here is there is setup in the game prep where if we choose plot focus story driven, The random proposals in story driven will always call the plot nodes. That means your random proposals, the ones you retrieve, will always bring plot setup things. So that is what I meant. So either a pending question, I'm still with pending questions. Endure difficult. Okay, maybe I have something broken in or this is my internal version. But yeah, locate or trace a useful finding, a valuable resource deposit, a perfect place to rest. I'm getting like difficult complication, trigger, PC flaw or weakness. I mean, it can be anything. And as you said, like it can mean anything. It can be like Clash of Clans could be a rumor someone talks about, right? Or if you say, hey, there's no way there is a Clash of Clans or there are any clans nearby, maybe you find the weapon of a clan member, or maybe the NPC you're talking to is comes to talk about that, right? And it can be really anything, and you can make it as important as you like or not, definitely. Hey Dex, nice to see you there. Clash of Clans could be today's sponsor. Yeah, you're right, there is an Android game, right? That's very spammy on the ads. Oh my god. All right. So moving on, now that we talked about that, yes, we're also going to talk about the oracles and take a look together and how they are used by the community players. By the way, there is a new feature. I don't know if many of you have seen it, because this app is famous for hidden features. But if you come here on these 3 dots and press disable as node, it's gonna be like darkened, and it's no longer gonna be called by the random proposal. So pay attention to this one, because it can be very useful. First, if it's not valid in your current situation, you can disable it. Second, maybe you completed it and you want to keep it there, so you don't have to delete it. So for these 2 reasons, particularly useful for the pending questions. Like maybe you already figured out what to do about the lack of supplies. Come here, disable as node, and it remains there, but it's disabled. And this is super useful for plot nodes, because you can still in the future even add notes here about how did you answer it, right? Answer. We found a way after Hidden Sun helped us. Whatever. And you keep the plot node over there, and you know it's not gonna come by anymore. Yes. What else? So let's take a look at your games. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Kelly says, oh, I didn't know that. Normally I just deleted it. Kivo also said, interesting, I've deleted them. Yeah, exactly. It's one of... I found myself in that situation too. It's like, oh, I don't want to delete it. And this, I think it's a nice feature. You can also drag and drop them. So to put the disables on bottom now, I think that helps a lot. It's very useful. So you can, like, I don't know, highlight the ones you want, or put the disabled down on the bottom. By the way, same with characters. Now if you come here and say, okay, Windy Knight is gone, we're not gonna have him anymore. Disable as node is also doable. I think this is a new feature, like there's a symbol now that shows you that this character is disabled as a plot node. So you also, like, random NPC plot beats won't call them. I think it's pretty useful now that we have control over that, because maybe they make sense later, but they're just not around. So you can disable all of those who say, hey, they have nothing to do with the current situation. You start disabling characters that you don't want to pop up in any random calls. And then when you're back, or you're back on town, you can enable them again and say, okay, now they are around. So all of these features are for more control over your plot development. Let's take a look at the plays. Catching up. Hello, Evelyn. Let me catch up. Where are we? No, this is not this one. Model of Origins. So we've got a few submissions, very good ones. There are 2 or 3 I'm gonna highlight because made it deeper into the story. And the first thing I realized is that the speed we play, lack of time, we work, we have trouble, sometimes we get distracted, other things going on in our head, we cannot play. Definitely 1 month was too short time. I mean, maybe there are players out there that say, oh, this is so cool, I would like to play it one day. And it would be a pity to roll over monthly events and leave behind others so quickly. Even if we play daily, which is crazy to play daily, like my brain wouldn't keep up with that. The story we can develop here is long, right? We could play on any of these event plot seeds for 6 months or a year. So definitely I don't want to, it's not the intention to put pressure through the events. Of course it helps because it motivates everyone to get to play. But if we think about the pace, if you play role-playing games in a group, you play maybe once per week, maybe once every 2 weeks. Imagine how much you can progress in 1 month, right? It's very little. So we need to tweak the expectations there and time will tell. So far we called it quarterly, but you can always skip one and join on the next one or do whatever. But it's a nice way to play the same setup, and from this we learned a lot, I think, in my opinion. There is also some players that maybe set up the game and didn't follow for whichever reason. This is extremely normal, and I wouldn't take it bad or personally, or even I would suggest you that you don't feel bad at all, because that is something to talk about, like how to push ourselves to play, or do we have to push? It sounds very bad to say, okay, how do I push myself? And it doesn't have to be, in my opinion. We have to take our time and play our own way and figure out the story as we go, and not put so much pressure about, okay, well, I'm not too sure what to do, or my story is bad. And we typically have the inclination to sabotage ourselves. Kivo says, is that kind of disabling the same as turning off the invoke button? Yeah, it is. My group coming together is an unlikely random proposal. Yes, exactly. That is also true. That's the advantage of solo. We can play whenever we want, but it's also a danger. I've seen it happen. Some fellow users that played every day for 3 or 4 weeks in a row, and then they disappeared. They quit the servers. They didn't talk again anymore, and it's burnout. Because it's like you get to it and said, okay, I'm gonna go at it and develop a story every single day. I'm gonna play 2 or 3 hours, and you burn out. So that time is also important. So interesting setups before going to the longest ones. What I've seen is Gilgamesh also set up a play combining Plot Unfolding Machine, Companion, and Foundry. This is a very common discussion, and I feel sometimes some worries, like, okay, PUM C or Foundry, what if you're on desktop and you can use both? I know, we love tools. I do love tools as well. And I don't want to boast, but what PUM Companion does well is that focus aspect, if you ask me. The fact that you open the app and you play. Like, you don't set up things, you don't set up modules, you don't set up plugins, you don't set up the map, you don't set up the sheet, you don't set up the items, I don't know. At least that's what my goal is. You want to tell a story? Okay, open the app and play. Like, write characters down, write the log area, use the dice, use the oracles, and get at it. I cannot definitely go pair to to having the character sheet and system development that Foundry has. But I don't want to dive deep in that, honestly. Gilgamesh set up a Forbidden Lands game. I know they didn't go through, it's all fine. I like the setup, interesting to see. We have Lurple also, nice community member who posted amazing screenshots using the app, setting up a hero character sheet. We have here some early developments of 2, I think, episodes. I liked it. What I liked about this plot, this plot development. Hi Stefano, nice to see you. What I liked about this this game is how introspective they took the Old Whispering Soul. The Old Whispering Soul is like an inner voice. It could be a spirit, a shaman spirit. Listen to me, my child, we need you is the first sentence. And there's a thunderous rumble, strikes the ground during the night, half the village gets destroyed, several buildings destroyed and villagers are missing and they need help. And you are waking up, maybe this voice, Old Whispering Soul, is an inner voice or a dream. And what Lurple did that I liked a lot is that they took a conversation with this very inner voice. They called it the silent voice in their heads, exchanging comments with this Old Whispering Soul. And this time I ran to Seal and said, hey Seal, look, you set up all of those NPCs and villages and locations, and this player just spent maybe a few hours or I don't know, a night where the story development was with this inner voice against the Old Whispering Soul. And I like this. It's like another way, why not, right? I did not ask for a second chance. You're disturbing my dreams, not doing me a favor. Very well, child, do it for whatever reasons you must, but you will do as I ask. And then a long experience has taught me that there is no use arguing with the Old Whisperer. I reached out and shifted my presence from the world of dreams to the world of men. Reality was still faded from me, its harsh, dulled by my lack of physical form. I stretched my senses forth. And I used a sense life in their mechanic. So again, like the games I'm sharing, like I'm doing it with full respect, full love of what you're doing. Like, don't feel criticized at all. There's no wrongs here. And that's what I like. And excuse me beforehand if I get in any place and misinterpret your stories, which can happen. Okay, and then they continue on this ego role and they fighting against their inner voice. I recommend taking a look at it, like a very inner voice about spirits and shamanism inside. I was surprised how low the body's store of energy was and felt the power I'd used to rip into the remainder from the old woman's body, causing minor damage but a flare of pain. It nearly collapsed and the damage fed back into my spirit, burning me as well. I desperately fed the body some of my own precious energy to keep it conscious. Super cool. I really wish Lurple continued this, because if you ask me, yeah, it's a good game. The second part, I think they continued on this aspect where they began taking shape, and the character took the form of a spirit of the water, because this spirit and soul gets placed in a body. I really like that, to be honest. It's really out of the box thinking. Foolish place to put a human, but I don't want to walk right now, so I shall go. But beware, next time I shall be less amendable. Goodbye, strange one. Super fun. I think the only thing I regret about this is not having more of it. So remind me to ping Lurple for this game. Let's take a look at other ones. Savvy Go Solo says, PUM is awesome for the journaling and note keeping too. I loathe keeping notes in Foundry, lol. Too clunky, but it's awesome for visual digital sheets and maps. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What other setups I liked? There is Roots and Wanderers. I remember this player diving deep into the usage of AI. I couldn't follow the story, this one, because I guess it didn't follow up much. But again, we have to inspire each other to keep at it if we can. Lord of Freeman, he's a user of the Discord server. if you have questions about Foundry, he is the man. Believe me, he knows every ins and out of that tool, and I'm very happy he managed to take a look at what we have here with PUM-C. He set up also a nice game. You play as an individual who woken up with memory loss. You do not remember who you are, where you are, or what you care about. The game itself practically works without any other oracle, but being mostly a journaling system from tarot card prompts, but combining it with PUM-C. I took some liberties of remembering a few things at the start. It's played in 5 acts, 3 cards. Again, it's a very good setup. I remember reading this very early on. Let's ping Lord Du Freeman to get at it and continue this game. I like that I can. The Dreams Gone says, I like that I can use PUM on my phone. I want to use PUM to learn RPG systems I don't know. Yes, Dreams Gone. If you stay for a few minutes, I'm gonna try to do time management here. I'm doing a terrible job. But if you stay with me until a few minutes later, I'm gonna show the next features, and there's gonna be something cool for using RPG systems. Yeah. This another setup, Lives Lost and Recovered from Lord Du Freeman, using Amnesis, the system, also setting up, he's I think playing with cards somewhere, I guess physically, and got to set up an intro also using some oracles over there. I remember, yes, here it says, rolled an oracle, notice, perceive, become hindered or impaired, rainy, wet. He said, the chilling wind drove past her again, reminding her of what she had lost, but carrying her mind further this time. She followed the ebbing breeze around the hut and promptly set foot into a tiny river coming down the mudslide. It went along one of the collapsed walls of the hut. Just maybe if she dug here, she could go through into the hut. Slowly her hands made their way along the wall, looking for a structural weakness or hole, and soon enough found it. A song found the crowd inside the hut. Windy Knight's voice was barely more than a whisper, his tale almost at its end. And nice writing. So I think about writing, and when we get to Kivo's, and I'm gonna go there actually, Kivo and Squishy's tales, we might feel the pressure of being amazing writers, and we have to work on that that level of expectations, because not all of us are writers, but the level here is amazing, if you ask me. I will go through Dex, because Dex is around too. Dex was also extremely creative. Dex is a famous Discord player who brings Chaos Rider to any game they play. So it's Cyberpunk, Chaos Rider is there. It's back in 10,000 BC, Chaos Rider will go there. So he's the super famous character. I think everybody in the Discord knows Chaos Rider already. And it didn't fail us, because Chaos Rider managed to travel in time and find himself directly in the Old Stone Age. Super cool approach. Where to read Chaos Rider waking up, asking himself, who is he? Where is he? And bringing their companions with them, getting this transition to the Stone Age with flashy visions and a cool, like, out of nowhere finding. I suggest reading Dex games if you're into a lightweight mood with joking tone and kind of humoristic approach, because they made me chuckle a few times. They make jokes, they toss each other around. The companions or followers of Chaos Rider asking or begging him to use his powers, and when he's trying to control himself, is what I liked about the story. It's like found himself in this Stone Age under a catastrophe situation, trying to figure out himself for starters before he can understand what's going on. I remember Chaos suddenly shouted, His voice still muffled below the ground. A landslide? What are we waiting for? Let's go already. Yeah, super cool. Keep at it, Dex. Don't give up. I know there are challenges in terms of getting the focus and so on, but that happens to all of us, really, and we understand. Solo role-playing game takes like this introspective out and expose ourselves as players, so very good stuff that you made it. I think there's a bunch of chapters and episodes out there. If I open some of them, you can follow how Chaos Riders ends up interacting with some of the NPCs. Yeah, here we have Ashen Wing came running frantically, ripping from his bows. Chaos, my child, I finally found you. I need your help. Oh, so like there's an NPC that who know him. My faithful crow, he must have gone missing during the landslide scare, perhaps. Can you find him? Well, looks like I'm needed elsewhere, of course. The most pressing matter here was saving the villagers. That I have done, now I can help with the old man, I guess. Super fun story. When I ran through, it's like I was chuckling one after the next chuckle. What I have here, Savi Go Solo got the great idea to screenwriting format for notes, and that completely takes the pressure of feeling like you have to really write. Yes, I would love to explore other ways of writing without writing, particularly in this app that is very role-playing oriented. I like voice narrating because I feel I can express myself more, but the end results are bad. Maybe someday we could put audio clips, but I'm not sure how exciting that is, to be honest. Bullet points also work, so long we remember what's happening. I like also playing on my mind or on video, and like there are two things to writing. One is the eloquence. The eloquence is like how complex vocabulary we use, right? And how detailed we are with the usage of words. And the other thing about writing is the plot itself, like the ideas and the structure and who are the characters and so on. And I think the eloquence is incredibly nice, and I really healthily envy the eloquent writers out there. But the plot part is at least what Plot Unfolding Machine helps with and gives us these ideas and NPCs and how they look like, what do they want, what happens next, and all of those things. So we can definitely play without that eloquence by following those plot nodes and dots of the game. Yes, so let's take a look at another game from the community. Getting more hardcore. There is Blood and Stone by Kibo, The Bond of Siblings. No, this is by... Sorry, my bad. Blood and Stone is by Squishy, our Kelly, I guess, in the chat. Truly amazing game. I mean it in all the best way I can, and also for others to catch up with this one, because if I could ever write how Plot Unfolding Machine could be played right, if there's such a thing, I think this got it right. I mean, yes, it breaks some rules here and there and maybe introduces other oracles, no offense taken, but the combination of what I liked about this game, I'm gonna open a few chapters out of it, but what I liked about Kelly's game is that they took the time to spend time in this world, like to touch the plants and to, I don't know, to sit down on a tree and or enjoy the sunset. And I think from this we can all learn about. It's like, and Plot Unfolding Machine makes this mistake that it puts us on the situation that we have to go plot beat after beat after beat, and everything has to be a constant revolution of things. And what I liked about this game is that the author, the player, took the time to interact with the environment and to interact with others. And this is the highlight. The story is about Tora and Flint. They are brothers, if I'm not mistaken. And there are deep interactions between the characters, not only between the protagonists, but also with NPCs. And there is flirting, and there is insulting each other, and there is mistreatment and pain and emotional questions. And I love this part, like the aspect of not rushing through the plot, if that makes sense. And that, I think it relieves a lot of pressure from having to move forward on the plot. It's like we could play an entire month in touching things around us. Of course, there's a balance to everything, but I liked it. For this game, they chose Savage Worlds. There are the sheets here, which is a nice system. It's a crunchy system, but it worked really well. Equipped their characters and they launched themselves. And at the beginning, I noticed the story like a bit slower. Not in the bad sense that the players were not like in the momentum and asking a lot of questions and, hey, am I doing this right and am I doing this wrong? And this is a natural step, I think. But I really recommend everyone to read through this one, because not making a judgment is not better or worse, of course, than other games. Everyone has its unique tone, but I like that part, that it takes the time to enjoy things. And the writing, of course, is top notch. You've got Tora here and Flint like figuring things out, and later on they pick up some of those NPCs to make a search for Hidden Sun, one of the missing the missing daughter of the ex-leader, of the deceased leader of the clan. And it's very descriptive. So there are very long paragraphs here and descriptive sentences that I liked, and the dialogues are all about this. You see the characters and the NPCs bashing at each other. I'm gonna fast forward to future because it's a very lengthy. I think it's more than 100 pages of AP, so it would be hard for me to accurately describe it. But as you can see, they use, I think these are Rory or Soothsayer tools, other oracles. They even use Game Master Apprentice cards. They mix tons of oracles, but they heavily used PUM, SUM and GUM oracles, usually in bulk. Like you get quantifier, reason, outside looks, personality types, meet, reaction, danger and risk. So kind of I can see the player trying to figure out the scene to move things forward, and then they develop the story from there. But across the game, they also dive deep in the NPC oracles. The plot contribution, like what does an NPC or how does an NPC help or in the game, right? And for example, it has the means to stop the PCs or complicate them. I think the story picks up really cool because one of the NPCs joins them, but who to trust in this chaotic situation where there are enemy clans and opposing interactions and intentions. Yes, so very cool stuff, because you can see a character indicating the game mechanics, where they are separated from the storytelling. There is the game master voice that explains things around. There is the use of pictures. I guess in some scenarios there were combats. And yes, and the description, I liked it. I think this is one of the latest episode. Tora lets the arrow fly, the string snapping back with a sharp twang as the arrow whistles through the air. It strikes true, burying itself deep in the bandit's knee. He collapses with a scream, clutching the wound. My knee, you've crippled me, snarls his voice, a mix of pain and fury. Tora bites her bottom lip, irritation flickering across her face. Still standing, she thinks. Eyes narrowing, the bandit might be wounded. He's mechanically shaken, but he's not out of fight yet, a mistake she plans to remedy quickly. The Game Master decides to spend their Game Master Benny, so the bandit came out shaken. The bandit seethes, his rage burning hotter than the pain in his knee. The arrow only fuels in his fury, adrenaline surging through his veins. With a guttural growl, he forces himself upright, wobbling but refusing to fall. His eyes lock onto Flint, the arrogant companion of the bee who shot him. Gritting his teeth, he grips his axe tighter and lunges forward with a staggering step, raising the blade high in an attempt to bring it crashing down on Flint. I mean, the power of the words is with you, Kelly. What can I say? I wish I could describe a battle with such words. I typically just pictured the arrow flying in my head and the screaming and the pain and put it all in a single 5-worded sentence. But this is nice. I mean, it's one of those actual plays you can read and actually figure things out. And I would like to highlight one of the early episodes. I think there was an episode where Hidden Sun and a bit of spoiler alert, but the interactions between either Tora with was it Howling River or with Hidden Sun are very good. The exchange of dialogues when they are sitting finding a cave and figuring things out. Yes, I should have pinpointed in which sections I wanted to highlight, to be honest, because it's full of gems, this AP, if you ask me. I think it's around here. Howling River hurries to catch up with the siblings, her steps light and deliberate as she carefully navigates past the lifeless body sprawled on the forest floor. The gaping axe wound in its head still fresh, she falls in stride beside Tora, glancing sideways with a flicker of hesitation in her bronze eyes. And yeah, the dialogues are good, they fight, they push each other around. There was this situation I remember when I think it was Hidden Sun who sent Flint away to protect the cave so they could speak in person alone and in private, and then they tried to defend each other and justify their actions. Was cool. Yes, Dex says I was an adventurer like Tora, but then I took an arrow in the knee. Of course, I just hit that example. Thanks, Kelly says I think it's episode 7 with Hidden Sun. Yes, very good stuff. And something to pay attention is the usage of oracles as well. How they help the story as it develops. I would really like to spend more time in just this game if I could. But there's a lot of critical yes or no questions that I really liked how they were used. Like asking if there was anyone around. There are like when I think Tora met Howling River, she asked to the oracles a meat reaction, and Howling River was acting nervously as if being watched or very cautious. The mood of the area is of nervousness, fear and concern. The description is sad and depressing. And I think this combination of oracles helps a lot, because with just 2 oracles you set up an entire seed for a new NPC you're meeting, and I like this. It keeps it simple. The quantifiers as well, it's like, okay, is there something chasing after Howling River? How many? Less than expected. The danger is to risk a beloved one with an enigma. Super curious what Kelly made of this. Then also used the how to describe how characters fought. I think in this case they were fighting with a spear. And it's like that. The oracles like give details that you're not sure or you haven't thought of before, and it's just like let random take over and add you those level of the details. This was in the early stages of the game. There was a fight with a bear. And later on the story picks up. But yeah, cool game. Lots of using the mood oracle. I like it also myself. It's a hidden gem because the mood feel oracle gives idea of how does being here feels. Like what is the around situation. And here it says, okay, determination, work, focus. And then the usage of grand oracles that you guys suggested a lot. These open oracles that give open words and ideas with synonyms that spark the imagination. Savvy Goes Solo says, I have a really hard time figuring out when I should use a deterministic or subjective. Cool question. Need to make a better job at explaining it. But essentially, The deterministic question is when you ask as either the author or a GM and you want a yes or no. So for things like, is it raining or is it nighttime, or I don't know, do they say they agree? It's like you don't want any middle ground. The deterministic gives you yes or no, or a weak or a strong no answer, but that's it. So it's really when you want an answer. It's like you are, as an author, want to know something. Yes, the subjective one, I suggested when the question goes to an NPC, to a person that can have emotion, can have uncertainty. Sorry, I'm mixing up. That one is the interaction one. It's when you talk to an NPC. There's a person behind the answer. So you can get things like no, but it's strange, or yes and hurry up, or yes, I guess. So you have these different tonalities of how someone could answer. And I think it sparks the imagination because people are complex, right? And that's the end, is that this oracle is complex. Definitely not is that they are not even open to it. Yes. Then there's the subjective one. The subjective yes or no oracle is great for when the question comes from your protagonist or a point of view. That means you are not omnipowerful, right? That you get to know everything. So the subjective one includes answers like not yet, at least, or apparently not, or don't know. So these are good oracles that, for example, when you ask, hey, can I see them? Like, does my character see them from here? And he's trying to spot, I don't know, some danger in the far away, right? And you can get don't know, can't tell. That means it's foggy or there's visual difficulties. So the answer contains much content. I think there is an answer also on subjective that it depends on skill. The intention of this answer is that you challenge your character. It's like it depends on who's asking, essentially. It's like it's not the same as if this vision question is asked by a ranger than if it's by a cleric. The rangers have sharper eyes, and that is what this answer is telling you. It's like, hey, who's asking this question? Exactly. So as in essence, deterministic is when the author is asking. Subjective is when the character is asking. And interaction is when an NPC is answering, so to say, or when the question is toward an NPC. Another way is that deterministic is you ask the universe, subjective is you ask your point of view, and interaction is you ask someone else. Cool. Back to the story. Yes, there's also other utilization of custom tables, like sometimes you want to leave to option multiple things that you expect. For example, is anyone around the campfire? And you get a yes. Okay, but who? And you have either two persons, either Howling River or Windy Night. And, like, this is a simple way of dice rolling to pick a choice. And then in this case, has anyone around the campfire know where Falling Tree is? So it's like the character is figuring out with people and see if somebody's seen Falling Tree. And then Kelly in this case asks, okay, there's somebody who knows. Apparently Howling River knows something. This is what happens in her head. It's difficult to traverse, so a place that's difficult to traverse or navigate that looks windy or moving. And why? To get revenge or have justice, probably the author here is thinking, why did they go there? So at least apparently here the players wrote something about, oh, cool idea, something. We will see. And then they developed this. And then they went with a plot beat, modified the proposal, they made the location more favorable. So as you can see, the oracles are quite distributed. There's variety indeed. Heavy usage of oracles, sometimes in bulk, others in the middle of a scene, but a lot of dialogue. And really, like, even to myself, I tell myself, let's explore dialogue and interaction with NPC much more, because that develops the world in so many different ways. So, yeah, the only thing is, I'm sorry I cannot dedicate more than 10 minutes, but the things I have to say about every actual play is more than I thought. A super cool game is by Kivo, one of our oldest and loyalist player and friend around the community. Crazy writing as well around here, if you ask me. CD says, I love Plot Unfolding Machine. If it's possible, please consider a flowchart or cheat sheet. It would be super helpful for those of us who sometimes get lost in the weeds. Got it. Point taken. Point taken. I'm always thinking, how can I make Plot Unfolding Machine more understandable? Yes, let's see how it is. I'm gonna open it up also, I hope with some examples we get into it. So what we have in Kivo's game, Fletched Hope, that is the name also of the protagonist. She's a huntress, and I also remember enjoying this game because this game, what I liked a lot about it is the focus on the community sense. On how important it is to be a community, to stand together and to carry on orders and recover a leader, to have a representative in that community, and making sure everybody is doing fine, that we hold together. So I like this social approach of this game, and of course how it is written. Also exemplary way of playing Plot Unfolding Machine, if you ask me. Yes, I remember this as the story started. The first question here, oracle question, is about the weather and where we start. PUM through something here, a twist, a magical or advanced technology place. I wonder what do you make out of these answers, right? When you say, oh crap, what does that mean? Like, what is advanced technology in 10k BC? I guess a hut, like a settlement, is already advanced technology. A set of tools, a workshop maybe, somebody's with the crafts of stone. I don't know, a mammoth hunting spear. And the writing is great. Morning light floats Bear Ballet, casting sharp shadows of the wreckage left by the landslide. The sky is clear and bright, an unsettling contrast to the chaos in the village. Survivors move frantically, salvaging what they can from the debris. Cries for lost beloved ones echo, while others sift through mud-soaked belongings. Near the village edge, the hut of the old shaman, fallen tree, stands mostly intact. Its frame is reinforced with twisted branches and tusks, decorated with feathers and stones that sway gently in the breeze. A faint trail of smoke curls from a small opening in the roof, hinting at warmth within. Again, really cool stuff. Really cool stuff. I have here Kivo himself saying, with this question I have focused on the magical aspect, so fallen tree it was. Yeah, definitely. Good catch, I think, having the NPCs in mind. And here we have Fletched Hope, wipes a few tears from her face, steadying herself as she makes her way toward Fallen Tree's hut. Clutching a bundle of herbs tightly, she steps over the mud and scattered debris. Reaching the shaman's hut, she pauses, takes a deep breath, and knocks softly on the woven hide that serves as a door. I brought herbs for the wounded, she calls. Does Fallen Tree open the door? Apparently not. Another example of a subjective question. I admit... Okay, this is cool. It's like a subjective question whether an NPC opens a door or not. I would have chosen a deterministic one because I don't know if that is subjective. Cool, interesting. Apparently not. It's a fitting answer. Yes or no? Are there sounds coming from inside? No, but... plot beat, a node invocation, locator trace, a useful finding, a perfect place to rest. So sometimes the oracles can swing you by, of course, I admit it. But our interpretation of it is what matters in the end. No one answers, the hut remains silent, the high door unmoving as if Fallen Tree has vanished within the night. Yeah, super cool story, because you can see in this story Fletched Hope develop a leadership aspect. Very good-willed character, gathering the villagers around and making sure everyone is doing what they should, like prioritizing things and doing what matters first, and making sure everybody stays aligned with the idea of surviving. And it's a nice aspect. And again, same highlight point, I personally liked a lot when players don't rush forward in the game. They get to enjoy the surroundings, they get to meet people around. We don't have to rush forward. And there's a lot of characters as well. I remember Roaring Heart. It's a very loyal, at least that was my impression, Roaring Heart being very loyal to Fletched Hope. Eventually, when they look for Hidden Sun, they find a cave. Spoiler alerts, read it, with a gem. And Roaring Heart is the one who stands against all norms and cultures of the villagers and says, nobody touch that gem. Only Fletched Hope can do this. And I remember seeing Kivo here using the Scene Unfolding Machine oracles to represent NPCs' opinions, and they were all against it. Everybody wanted it. It represents their village values and so on. And there was a lot of inter-character conflict that I really, really liked, because it was more like it's a group of people, everybody with their own opinions. And I like that, how we respect each different, multiple mindsets, multiple characters at the same time in one scene, because typically we have 1 or 2 characters in one scene, maybe 3. But I've been amazed at how Kivo managed to put large groups of people in the same scene, and everybody having different opinions or answering using significantly often the opinion or answer oracle. Let me catch up with the comments. Oh, sorry guys, it feels like I can talk for years. Didn't know that. Savvy goes solo. Yes, in the game you have to use sign and gestures and combine the words you know. Okay, I guess something's going on in the chat. I'll catch up with you later. Yes, and later, it's another example. Usually all games, I observed, start slow. Like a lot of questions to be asked. What's happening? I think that is the threshold we need to break. The first 2 sessions are like the ones like, okay, what am I doing? I'm making many things up. But what I perceived in the players that exceed this threshold of the early game, then they pick up momentum. And this is something I think I would want to share with everyone, that the first scenes of a solo game are the hardest. It's like we spawn randomly our character somewhere. We are making things up. We don't know what it means. We don't know the NPCs. And it's like, oh, it's the hardest part. But if we get past that second, third session, it's when things really, really pick up, in my opinion. Let me know what you think about how to keep ourselves going. And I'm looking forward to learning more about that. How do we keep, like, how do we make a story that ourselves are engaged into making it forward, right? Because I don't like the idea of pushing ourselves, or, you know, I don't like this, I don't enjoy this, but I'm going to force myself to move through. That is wrong. I think we have to find a way where we are curious about what happens next in our story, where our characters need to figure something out or solve a problem, that we want to do that, right? If we can manage to do that in this solo storytelling hobby, I think we've done something right. Yeah. So just a few more examples of later scenes. Yeah, the usage of grand oracles, plenty of dialogue, interaction, moderate usage of plot beats I liked, finding abandoned fireplaces. This is the chapter where the vision happens. Also, Fletched Hope themselves, the protagonist, grows up, starts discovering. I don't know, I don't remember if they knew already about their powers and visions. I don't want to spoiler much of the story, but they they get in a trance where they start seeing things. And what is fun about that, it's that it doesn't happen in their head. The people around them, around her, notice that she's going through something, and they want to know, what did you see? What did you find? Where are they? It's like she has this superpower, super cool character development story, and interactions with other NPCs, and I think that is a lot of fun. If you scroll down, find the episodes. I think in the latest ones, there's plenty of development in the usage of oracles as well, and further finding ways to rescue Hidden Sun and bring her back. What are the villagers doing? An activity oracle here, making business as usual. And then, yes, conversations between them when they eventually will rescue her. Spoilering alerts again. On what to do about her brother with ill intentions is also a big question. But the focus of this story, I perceive, is like really to keep the community together, and I really admire that. Cool. Thanks for staying around. I'm going to, like, what I can say, I could spend lots. I would really love to actually read more of these actual plays in live and discuss them. Let me check the time. Yeah, I have about 15 minutes. 14 viewers. Thank you so much for staying there. I really appreciate it. We need to figure out time management and plans, and I know I'm not the best at planning things, but I'm so glad you're around here. And these stories are great. Every story, even the ones that maybe didn't develop further, I really appreciate it. Like, we're getting to set up a game and we want to know, and there are different ways of approaching the game. Yeah, Forbidden Star also had a nice AP. I wanted to follow this through as well. I'm curious what happens with the players, but this thing of starting and dropping could be so many things, but there's so much potential. There's no game I've seen where I could ever say, hey, you're sabotaging yourself. I think every actual play I saw was set to be successful. Now, Dex says, I love these streams, you should make them more often, Jen. Really? Okay, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I also having a good time, and really feels like I have you around. It's a great thing. Yeah, Kelly says, but that's what's cool. Reading everyone different approach to story and soloing a game is the most interesting. Also, I always learning from other people in the soloing RPG. Yeah, and I don't want to exaggerate it, and I don't want to sound overly positive, but we learned a lot from setting up the pitch already. I mean, the first talks with Seal were, okay, how do we write down the world elements? And I remember the world elements at first from Seal were like entries of a setting set up, like, I don't know, society, economics, I don't know, things like that. And I said, plot nodes will be called in game, so even if it's a world element, the plot nodes should have these evocative titles. And we had a discussion about how to name plot nodes and so on. It's natural discussion, it's very constructive. And we also learned in a good way that Plot Unfolding Machine has a good basis for setting this kind of games up, right? You could yourself set up pitches for your own future self or to sharing with others. I think I saw a question in the I saw a question in the stream. Somebody was asking, can we export this? Yes, not only you can export this, you can set up a game just like this one that Seal did for the community with characters and their images, and each of their characters a description and locations, and you could create these templates of games and share it with others and say, hey guys, I set up a cyberpunk game, I'm gonna play this one. If anyone wants to try, feel free. And I don't want to sound overly ambitious, but why not maybe one day even some of you would like to do professional investment in Plot Unfolding Machine peaches if they ever work and mature enough, and we playtest the system. And why not? It's proprietary work, right? You can have your own art here, your own powerful characters. You could be very creative and set up 3 games and build a campaign together. So each of them has a chapter with different plot tracks, and you set up seeds. I don't know, I want to dream awake, but why not? Like what we have seen here with that plot unfolding machine works for pre-made setups. There are pending of questions for the players to figure out. Like in this case, we had, what is a good way to help in the disaster? What happened with Hidden Sun? What does Hidden Sun's half-brother want? And if you have noticed, the random proposals bring those questions. So it kind of, the game itself keeps you in this loop of, hey, don't forget you are playing this game and not that other game, right? You have reflections of this world of animism, there is shamanism, there's somebody who might need help badly. You get these questions like, what happened with Hidden Sun, the chief's daughter? So the kind of setup leads us to play in this direction. Oh, Theseus, really nice to see you. Hey there, Jensen, nice to see you. Also, the app looks amazing, congrats. Big fan of Theseus, and their YouTube, RPG Tips YouTube channel was enlightening to me. Really good stuff there, backing up the Mythic project. What can I say? I'm very, very big fan of that. Yes. So, catching up again, to not be forever in the stream, but thank you, your feedback helps. If you like, maybe these streams we could do often and dive deep in some of the topics. So, summary of the takeaways of the actual plays. First, do not to rush towards the plot. Enjoy the environment, talk to people around, touch the things around you, look at the horizon and figure things out. That I really liked of those actual plays. Very introspective games. The second point I would like a lot is interpersonal conflict, like different opinions of characters who want different things under the same circumstance. It triggers conflict. Even in Kelly's game, I saw emotional concern, like jealousy and betrayal, and you see the same things, and then I could perceive the momentum going on. It's like, oh, my character wants this, but they can't. And they roll and they fail, and let's live with that and figure that out later. And there was once this scene with the prisoner who wanted to escape, and the prisoner failed all skill rolls to fail. And the protagonist was like, no, you're not going anywhere. You're sitting just right where you are. And then Kelly went for, I think it was an opinion or a feedback. Opinion or answer oracle. And I don't remember how it was set up, but it fitted the story very well, because the character was like, okay, there's nothing you can do. You oppose the idea and you have to live with that. Talking about character interaction, I can highlight scene unfolding machine oracles. You have things like an anecdote or filler talk, so you can meet somebody and say, hey, what do they talk about? And they talk about a book or something they are consuming, or a recent anecdote. They took part of a cultural or religious ceremony. And these oracles are really good for interacting with NPCs out of the blue. It's like you meet them and what do they say, right? And the first one is the meet reaction. How they look like in the first encounter. A good one could be honesty check, like it looks like they are they telling the truth, or are they lying, or they are nervous. This stuff help you a lot. So yeah, and then moderate. The third highlight would be to moderately use the oracles and to abuse a bit more the random proposals, but not necessarily use them to advance the plot, rather to get more of the plot setup of this event. So with that said, I would like to wrap up the community plays here. Big applause to all of you, because yeah, you're amazing. So let me show you a bit what the next features are coming around. Regarding before the features, super quick. I wish I had more time. Super quick, there is an announcement for the next quarterly Plot and Folding Machine game. It's crazy because I said, so hey, think of something. If you like, I mean, they offered, actually, Seal offered to continue this one, and I was so excited about to say yes. And I thought, yeah, just one proposal and it's gonna be fine. No, but they made 5. So there are 5 possible plot setups for the next quarterly event to choose from, to vote from. And you can vote the ones you would be willing to play. And then Seal will explore and expand one of these to convert it in a Plot and Folding Machine setup game like this one. So the current options, we can quick look at them. Cloud Cities of Venus. This is a steampunk fantasy, supra-dimensional, low magic, solar punk system. I hope I summarized that one right. Yes, it's really a cool idea. I think it's a planetary solar system with steampunk technology. Yeah, Seal doesn't like cliches. That's what I learned. So super good job, Seal. The second one is a 20,000 miles under the sea, Jules Verne kind of thing, living underwater. Super cool as well. I'm curious because this opens up to more imagination in a way, but yeah, it's a difficult one, I would say, if you ask me, but I'm curious. Also very unique. I'm gonna explain, gonna show you something about this also around this one, but super cool. Generation Ship Proxima B. This one is sci-fi, set up in a spacefaring city system, spacecraft, traveling into the void with a lot of people in it, and it focuses on religious and cultural differences in the sci-fi universe. So it brings me vibes of The Expanse. So if you like The Expanse, sorry. Yeah, this one. I must. 1 second. I'm not used to talk that much, apparently. Yeah, I'm back. Echoes of Broken Bond. This was inspired of an idea. I said, hey, please do one of these. It's a fictional system where there are creatures with magical abilities, and I wanted something with creatures and magical abilities and mechas because of this. I'm sure many of you saw it already. There is this board game called Sight that has this amazing artistic world of mechs in a 20th century technology kind of level. But there are also like big bears and big mechas and crazy monster. And I said, why don't we play something around this idea? So yeah, the idea of, I think Seal took it but developed something slightly different, but I still liked it. Because my only request was to not make it about, warfare, rather make it about the living's life. And yes, they made these creatures being like abused genetically until they lost their magical power, so humanity had to figure out ways of surviving and enduring without them, because apparently they had made them part of their lives. So they created these machines, and after some centuries, hundreds of years, there is this animals coming back with their magical abilities. So the question is like, okay, what now? We have developed technology, but also the ancient creatures with magical powers are back. What do we do about that? Last but not least, did I miss anyone? No. Last but not least is a community voted one. Seal collected some ideas from the players. What would you like to play? A Bloody Moan about vampires and werewolves. Yes, and then there, of course, Seal wouldn't allow it to be a cliche system, so he added a twist where their blood develops a special magic. And I think there was something else about the union and the transformation of these vampires and an imminent apocalypse to these to the vampires and werewolves that have this situation. So also cool. Vote the ones you like, and hopefully that will be our next game. But again, Mother of Origins is ongoing and it can be played for long. So let's figure out the balance of how often we want these events and how much time we want in between. Yes, and next topic, hopefully to start and begin rounding up. I would like to show you what is coming next in the app, to gather some feedback and thoughts. There's a bunch of things coming on soon. But one I liked in particular is that when you open a character and you have a character sheet like this one, you will now be able to right click on it and set it as a template. And let's say you call this template Fate Sheet, and you press OK. Then you can go to any other character and press this button here and pull that Fate Sheet into it. And then you have this replicable character sheet images. I need to give them a proper name yet, but you can have essentially all of your character using this template with seamlessly. And what's best about it is that even if you go to other games of yours, you can open any character in there and you have automatic access to that sheet. Essentially, you can go to any other game and use your Fate Sheet template. What does this do? Many things. For starters, and before I get into the details, when you manage your templates, you can download them into a file and share them with others in the community. That means this Fate Sheet now can be designed once and be shared in Discord, and then everybody can use that. It's not super fully fancy character sheet system, but let me show you what I'm improving on it. If you right click and press edit, I think this is a bad example because this is pre-written, but imagine for a while, bear with me, that this sheet is empty. You can come here. If you're on PC, you can right click here and say tree and drag this tree over here and resize it and place it over there. And then you can Control V, Control C, Control V and copy it many times. So you can adjust these things here, put them in place, Control V, and quickly create kind of templates for character sheets. And this I like so much because for others, whenever you save this and you set it as a template, I'm going to call it editable. It's an ugly example, okay? You go to other and then you load these and you just come to this character and say, hey, this one has 5 here. So you, oops, right and press 4, and here you press 5, and here you set it to 2, and maybe here if you like you add some text and say powerful item, and you bring it here, and then you Control V this time because this one you want 3 times. So you essentially can have kind of character sheet images in them, and you can even have like some markers if you like and say, hey, I want to have 3 circles here. I'm making it up super quickly. And then you have them on the side, for example, as bennies or whatever. So if you say, hey, I want this, you can just use them. I need to see if I will implement copy paste on all of them, but you can have them. Like you can do kind of virtual character sheet management. There is also, I think ideally this is very easy like to use. Like in the Fate example, you come here, you press the pencil, you write something down. And you can have your character sheets over here and use them. There is also a new button here called Gallery that will collect your character images of all your characters in place and logs and everything and bring them here. So you can quickly bring your character portraits and add them here too. So it's fun, right? I mean, I was thinking this could be a nice thing at least. It's not going to be a super fancy mechanical sheet system, but I think we can get quite far. Next about this feature is that you can also set them as a shortcut. That means whenever you are playing, you can directly come here, Roger, right click on them and say shortcut image, so you can quickly access that sheet too. So without navigating a lot, you can quickly, you're playing, you want to see them quickly, right click, shortcut image, and you see their sheet without changing their main image. Handle shortcuts in mobile. So how to do this in mobile? What I'm thinking is that these sheets could be designed on PC where it's more comfortable. And once they are shared, you just import them on mobile. That is my suggestion. Because then on mobile, you essentially just work with them. You just use them, right? So you come here and say, hey, I want this to be a 4 and that's it. So the design aspect of it should be only done once and then downloaded, shared with others. And then, hey, we have a fate sheet ready for PUM-C. So it is cool. Again, I want a better example, but I don't know, Savage Worlds. It's a bad example because we know systems are not simple, right? But the idea would be that any of us would take Savage World sheet, bring it here, edit it, create all of the templates around here. It takes a bit of time the first time, of course. So name here, you resize it, and then you just copy paste it and get the template ready as quick as we can, right? And so it takes time once, but then once the sheet is set up, then you essentially create it many times. You set it as template, and then you can add quickly to all of your characters. Can you draw on the sheet for the tablet? This would be terrific. I haven't drawn with a pen, sorry, but there is a paint feature and you can do this if that's what you ask. You can also draw lines, add rectangles, circles, dashed lines. Yeah, that is possible. There is crop, there is filter, so you can even give it a tone, rusty tone or whatever. These are like image filters. Why not? You can have emojis if you like things like using something specific as a Benny. I don't know. A tomato. So you can use icons if they help anyway for you to trace like HP or whatever you like. You can bring your images, as I was saying. You can add text and so on and so forth. So an image editor on top of sheets, I think it will work well because then we can use this as a template. So essentially anyone else could come here and super quickly, you know, change this name. Set Benny's tree, conviction, fight a nemesis. And yeah, it's fine. I think it's gonna unblock a lot of things. All right, but it doesn't end there because this template system also works at a character level. So now, if you like, you can also set up things here and add things like items and then a sheet that for weapons and another sheet for, I don't know, trackers, and then you set up here. You know, here we can do a lot of things like even adding an image, whatever, and do stuff like that. And now we go back to the overview picture. And which character was it? Sorry, I forgot. Yeah, this one, Laura Ulf. So we go to Laura Ulf, and now we can press on this icon here and press it to manage a character template. So here is, I don't know, Suade boosted, whatever. So then this character itself is a template. So then you can add from template and you get copies of this character as many times as you want. So essentially now characters can be shared and templated. That means you create them once and it brings all of these things already out of the box for you, including image sheets. So that's a nice feature because you can also download them and share them with others. So now we have shareable characters and shareable sheets for PUM-C, which I don't know how many doors it can open, but it's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy about it. That's the big feature coming soon. I'm thinking there's a lot of fixes also behind screens and improvements, particularly in the way we work with the text editor and how it works in the UI. Like always, there's a bunch of fixes behind screen, but I think that's the biggest. Yes, exactly. Now, Kelly, you can have a character like the famous Chaos Rider, and you go to any games, and you go to characters overview and press here add from template, and you can see they are appearing here. So my Suade boosted character template will appear here. Yes. So with that said, let's take a break. Super happy to have you around. So many more things to discuss and share. Do vote for the next PUM event. I guess it's called quarterly now. And yeah, spread the word also if you like the app so far and the things we're doing in it. And yeah, the features that are getting developed. Remember to disable unused plot nodes or inactive characters, because that's also what's getting improved a lot. And last but not least, there will also be an example game included for first timers that open the app for the first time. They will have an Underwater Cities 2090 example game, so it's easier to get going. Cool. Thank you so much for staying around. Yes, thank you for the messages. And yeah, you're amazing. And I hope those who watch this video or stream later also get something out of it. Would be really happy to explore more actual plays and learn playing solo and storytelling together. I think there's plenty to discover. And yeah, stay in tune. And until the next one, take care, good night, and bye-bye.